The warbow, the heavyweight division. The bow and arrow have been used in warfare. While this aspect of archery may be unsavory to some, it is still true. In fact, the use of warbows in combat has been continuous from times forgotten to history, right up until the widespread use of gunpowder and firearms. Interest in the warbow has grown in recent decades. Some military history enthusiasts want to know what it would be like to draw and shoot heavy bows, as they were done in past battles. In this video, we briefly explore the warbow and its use throughout the ages. What is a warbow? First of all, we will define what a warbow is. For our working definition, a warbow is a bow of historical design and historical military draw weight. Some English longbows, for example, that were recovered from the Mary Rose have been tested to be over 100 pounds at about a 30-inch draw. It can be noted, however, that an archer's ability to draw a heavy bow diminishes if he or she is mounted. Thus, we will define a warbow as a bow of historical design over 70 pounds if it's intended to be used on horseback, and over 100 pounds for a foot bow, such as an English longbow. The longbow. Now let us discuss one of the most iconic warbows. That, of course, is the English longbow. Their weapon was in widespread use among the tribes of Wales, and the English were quick to utilize the weapon in their own armies and battle tactics. The longbow was the great equalizer. Skill, accuracy, and strength could overcome financial wealth and social status. This was basically what took place in several battles during the 100 Years' War fought between England and France. The French would have despised such a weapon, one that could take out a noble knight. A knight was an expensive soldier to equip and train. This investment could all become undone with one well-placed shot from a lowly commoner armed with his warbow. The idea of the commoner with his bow challenging the wealthy feudal lord of his day is the main theme of the legend of Robin Hood. A simple man with some skill could pose quite a threat to the powers that be. What was the draw weight of an English longbow? The Mary Rose is the flagship of Henry VIII, which sank in 1545. Draw weights of the bows recovered from this ship range between 100 to over 180 pounds. These were warbows on a warship that sank in battle, the real deal. It could be deduced by the weight of these recovered bows that most English longbows used for the purposes of war in the medieval period would have comparable draw weights of well over 100 pounds at the 30-inch mark. Want to know more about warbows and archery history in general? We would highly recommend the recent publication, 2019, of Warbows by Mike Loades. Mike Loades is well known and respected in the military history community as he has published several books on military history and also appeared in over 100 television documentaries such as Going Medieval, History Channel, and Weapon Masters, Discovery Networks. This particular book covers in great detail the English longbow, composite horse bows, as well as the medieval crossbow. With fantastic detailed illustrations and photographs, this is a must-read for archery and/or military history enthusiasts. A link in the description below. Notable warbows. The Qing or Manchu bows. The Manchu bows are some seriously heavyweight warbows. Not only were they heavy in draw weight, but they are also some of the largest and robust of the Asiatic composites. Unlike the Ottoman Turks, who tested the power of their bows via flight archery, the Manchu bow was designed for maximum energy delivery. Accuracy and penetration were paramount. Documents from 1736 record the archery examination results of some 3,200 men, in the Hangzhou Banner Regiment. Of these 3,200 men, some 920 were only able to accurately use bows of 67 pounds or less. The majority of the soldiers, some 2,200 men, could comfortably shoot bows in the 80 to 133 pound range. Then the heavyweights in the group, some 80 bannermen, could accurately use bows in the range of 147 to 173 pounds. This latter group was definitely shooting war bows. Japanese yumi. In feudal Japan, bow draw weights were measured by the number of men it took to string the bow. Some warriors of legend, such as Tamitomo, had 5-men bows, meaning it took about 5 men to string the weapon. These were clearly extraordinarily heavy war bows. Most modern Yabusame, traditional mounted archery, archers shoot a bow around the 25 to 40 pound range. This is considered a 1-man bow. Thus, a 5-man bow of the heavyweights are in the 200 pound range, which is within the limits of war bows. The Magyar bow. The Magyar tribes swept into Western Europe in the 9th century. They came for plunder but eventually remained and integrated into Christendom. The preferred method of warfare for the Magyar was mounted archery. Several grave sites have been identified that belong to the first few waves of the Magyar migrations into Europe. One in particular, Tudvari Hízóföld, was excavated in the 1980s. The site contained more than 260 people in 58 separate graves. Most were buried with the tools of the trade during the Conquest era. These, of course, included arrows, swords, axes, and bone plates used to reinforce the weapon of choice, the Asiatic composite bow. When studying the skeletons of the deceased, it became clear that the bones had developed musculoskeletal stress markers. These stress markers can only come about after a lifetime of repeated stress on the muscles and bones. The bones of the upper and lower arm, as well as the clavicle, collarbone, were particularly stressed. These bones and the muscles that anchor to them are exerted extensively when engaged in archery, especially with heavy war bows. Ottoman Turkish war bows. The draw weights of Ottoman Turkish war bows typically ranged from around 100 to 170 pounds based on examinations of surviving historical examples similar to the heavy draw weights of contemporary English longbows from the Mary Rose. Expert analysis by bowyer and researcher Adam Karpowitz, who measured bows in the Topkapı Palace Armory, Turkey, estimated an average of 112 pounds across 26 Ottoman bows, with some exceeding 130 pounds. Military minimums for Ottoman archers were often cited around 80 pounds, while elite warriors could handle bows over 150 pounds or more. Note that exceptionally heavy reproductions or estimates around 190 pounds exist, but likely represent outliers for flight shooting rather than standard war use. Thanks for watching.